Hello, hello. So I believe at this point we're at 41 to 60, going through the Bloody Palace with Nero. And the purpose of these videos are kind of just to look through, see the kind of collections of enemies that the Bloody Palace will give you, while at the same time learning some tips and tricks of each character. Which I don't think I'm hiding much more about Nero. If you didn't know how to kick while running, you should taunt while running to do that. I don't think I've ever landed that. I don't think it does a lot of damage. Maybe that'll be a goal sometime, to just do that repeatedly. But otherwise, I don't think there's too many secrets about Nero that I haven't covered. Yeah, that's fine. So with that in mind, we're going to go to 41 to 60. So the first thing is the noticeable change in scenery, which I think the first time I was here kind of got me in the gear of, oh, this is going to be serious times. But this section, more than anything, is kind of a test of how good you are with your ranged weapon. A lot of these enemies are going to be either impossible to be around, like, closely, or punish you heavily for doing that. These seed things that, as you can see, attach themselves to our scarecrows and assaults, right now just the scarecrows, make these, I don't know what to call them, like barriers of swords, which make them kind of tough to deal with. You don't want to get too close, and if you do, you can notice like they get back up and running really quickly. A charged shot should be enough to turn it off briefly, but without much time, they're going to turn back on. So this is really that time where I hope you know how to hit enemies from afar and still keep your combo going. This is also kind of like the area where you're going to get really aware of Nero's personal space, because this is, oh, who's still there? Because this is the point where enemies will sneak up with you. Not sneak up on you. Not just because it's dark, because that is a factor, but also because there's so much to be aware of, and these sapperlings, these seed things will still do these dive attacks. Alright. Speaking of annoying enemies. So this is the charged up or empowered assaults. I don't know what to call them, but they are not fun. The most frustrating parts of these enemies have kind of gone up aggressively. You can no longer snatch them effectively, both at this point in difficulty, but also because of these seed things. So, and whenever you're near them, there's a high chance that this barrier will be up and punish you for being close. So, kind of opposite to Frost, you now want to stay away from these guys as much as you can. See, you want to knock them down with the sword, get a few hits in, and then back up. As you can see, any attempt to like regularly combo them is just kind of not worth it. And they have so much health, honestly, that relying on the level 3 charge shots isn't that bad. It's fine. Go ahead and use them. Try to get them clumped together so you can take a few of them on. So I'm going to take some hits just to demonstrate how dangerous these enemies are. Joking, of course. This is kind of those weird mixes of enemies that you're not going to see a lot, where it's the swords and the seedlings. Where it's a combination of these enemies are really frustrating, but the difficulty of this level is laughable. I've been taking a lot of hits, and I'm not in any danger. Mainly because all of the sapperlings will refill your health, and all of the swords will refill your devil trigger meter. I don't think they, yeah. I'm not sure if they 100% are guaranteed to drop the white orbs, but I think it's pretty high. So I don't know how many other times we'll see that combination. That might have been one of the only times. But when that happens, don't worry too much about it. Just kind of take that as a break level. That's kind of, I guess, one of the weird things you get used to just in any other marathon. Like, if you follow people who speedrun or do anything that requires kind of a rush, not a rush, sorry, an endurance, you get to know which parts you gotta kind of worry for and you plan in advance. So, knowing which levels that you can take your time and rebuild your Devil Trigger are pretty good. So we're seeing a pattern here in the Bloody Palace where they'll throw you a few enemies, and when you take one of them out, a blitz will appear. This strategy will always be the same, where you want to wait till that blitz is alone and then combo it out. There's no enemy that's like particularly more terrifying in these encounters. It's just the same rule as anything that distracts you from the blitz is going to be more frustrating. And eventually you'll get to these situations where you just can't take the blitz out before it goes into its death mode, and that's fine. As long as you've got a decent amount of... If he does that, you want a Devil Trigger out, otherwise you're taking about half your health and damage. You might notice that I don't actually have the entire health bar unlocked. I don't really understand why you have to do that in these games. I've never really like understood the fun of the puzzle, either like the puzzle levels or the platforming. Sorry, I kind of just gone through that level without talking. That's like it's kind of like the combination of the swords and the seedlings, where it's weird and you just kind of buster your way through it. Neither enemy shows much of a threat, and together they're not like more than the sum of their parts. So just take advantage of that. Right, so this game is platforming, and that's kind of the reason I absolutely love the Bloody Palace, is that there is no platforming, because it is not my favorite part of the game. So this level continues the trend of just putting these seedlings with any enemy that they possibly can. I don't know why, like, I think once again the difficulty here is the Angelos, not so much the seedlings. When we see the Angelos in the next section, they're going to be real threats. Right now, they're kind of afterthoughts again. And you can just follow the same thing of getting them by themselves. And just coming them out. Alright. So I haven't been keeping track, so we'll check which one we're at. Let me see. We're at 48, so almost halfway done. Oh yeah, this is kind of a bizarre level. All these seedlings, one scarecrow. Just take out the scarecrow. Pretty soon though, we're going to get to a level where this idea is ramped up much more aggressively. And kind of the theme in this part of the Bloody Palace is you want to keep those seedlings away. Like, if you can stop them from coupling, if you may, you're going to have a much easier time. Both enemies are much weaker when they're separate, and those assaults are nightmares when they have the seeds attached to them. Like these ones. I don't know if for sure these enemies take more... Like, I've heard somewhere that they take more damage from Exceed hits because the Exceed hits are fire and they're plants. I don't know if that's true, mainly because everything takes... Because the Exceed hits just do more damage. So I don't know if there's, like, a measure of extra damage. As you can see, when I fight these guys, I'm just trying to keep this guy out of my line of sight. As long as he's out, he's not really going to do much. And then when he's done, we can just finish him off. Alright. Oh, Fun fact, in any of Nero's busters or special moves, you can preemptively deactivate Devil Trigger, so it'll just come out of it the second you're done. If you're trying to conserve your Devil Trigger bar, that's like your best idea. Also, it looks cool, and I think that's pretty important. So we've come to that wonderful point that the Scarecrows have learned to block. That is like, I think one of the only differences up until the last 20 that these enemies will have from normally. They block not like the Angelos. The Angelos have like a blocking mechanic to them where this is the level, by the way, where we're going to get a bunch of assaults coming and then a bunch of seedlings and then some assaults who already have the seedlings, I'm pretty sure. So just do your best, honestly. One of the frustrating things of these fusions is just that once they're attached, they don't guarantee the life drop anymore. So you are punished for it in more ways than one. So as he blocks, I think there's a good time to get back to talking about the blocking. So, okay, I don't know what you're fighting over this Scarecrow. So the way Scarecrows block it's closer to how the assaults block, as in they have a shield and you break it. The way the Angelos block is more they'll take a few hits and they'll counterattack. And then if you take out their shield, they're regenerated. I don't actually know if the assaults regenerate their shield. I've never noticed, to be honest. But as for the Scarecrows, I think their shield does regenerate eventually, but they should be dead by the time of that. Just wail on them a bit, place your buster where you can, and the shield won't really matter. If you don't know you can carry enemies, I forget which one, I think Nero's brother, I can't remember the character's name now. It'll come to me after. When you beat him, you get the ability to carry enemies, and they'll block hits for you. Let's see if I can get that done. See, it's very finicky, and honestly, it's not worth the trouble. Yeah, there you go. Though, to be honest, it did take some damage. The Buster did more damage. It's not really a technique you'll be using it. At most, you'll hold them in order to reposition them and move them closer to other enemies. So here we are. I just noticed we maxed out our style points. I don't know when that happened. I wasn't paying attention. But we're also at this point where I don't really understand what the challenge of this level is. I think the challenge is realizing that you're wasting time when you're not killing these guys. But that's really it. Just go around, they'll wake up, and you kill them. The Bloody Palace has some weird moments where it thinks like 6 Scarecrows are a challenge at this point, after you've been going through assaults. So we're at 52, so we're almost done. We're past halfway done this section. If you're dealing with these swords as any other characters, they can be rather frustrating, but as Nero, your Buster just cleans them up. As you can see, for some reason, they kind of go after the Scarecrows as well. And at this point, the Scarecrows are actually kind of equipped to deal with them. I don't know if you saw the Scarecrow blocking the sword with some efficiency, I suppose. I guess an interesting fact about the swords, when they get ready to use their drill attack, where they're just floating in the air pointed at you, they take more damage right when they start going. The second they start moving towards you, they will take more damage by anything you hit them with. So if you're using a charge shot to hit them, that is the moment you want to let it go. So as always, here we are with the Mega Scarecrows. Here they are, posing absolutely no threat. 2 of them back there are dancing while their friend is just being annihilated by us. That one finally attacked. Now I think there's another enemy that appears once we reduce it to 1, but I could be wrong. if you were feeling like a good time to just style out, this is really it. Yeah, there we go. There's I think 2 frosts coming. These are, the funny thing is 3 Mega Scarecrows is less of a threat than a Mega Scarecrow and 2 frosts. Mainly because 2 frosts are the threat. And I don't even know where the Mega Scarecrow is. It's just gone. We're just going to flip the camera and there it is. Oh, there it is. Waiting to use its actually good attack just once. And now that it's alone, we're just going to finish it off. Alright. So I think that was 52 or 53, so we should be at 54. Okay. Oh, this is a fun level. So, bunch of scarecrows, Bianco, Angelo, and it's actually going to target the scarecrows first. It will come after you, as you can see, eventually, but not at a rate that you need to worry about it. Like, I think that time it was going after the scarecrow more than it was going after me. So if you want, you don't even need to focus on it for a while. And scarecrows aren't too bad once you got them in the air. Now, this is kind of a good time to remind that Nero is one of the easier characters. So some of these, and especially since I find new players tend to learn Nero first, a lot of these encounters are a lot easier than like with Nero, and they're pretty streamlined because once again, Nero has 4 real weapons. His Buster, his gun, his sword, and Yamato. And those together, like, you don't have that many options to deal with things, so you kind of learn how to streamline your combat. But, like, if you come in here with Dante and you're not used to, like, style switching because you're still learning how to use Dante, this is much more of a nightmare. So as always, Mega Scarecrow is here just letting me murder his friends without even worrying about it. I think you can purposely make the Bloody Palace a lot more difficult by putting yourself in situations where these enemies are both on screen and they're both attacking you. You can also make it more difficult by not one-shotting these enemies using the combos. And in those situations where there's frosts waiting, you can also make it more difficult by prematurely aggroing them. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a lot more fun. When I'm feeling sassy, that's definitely how I'll take on the Bloody Palace. But if you're just learning it, I would say take advantage of every mechanic the game allows you to have. So I think this is one of the few times I will actually advocate to taking out the Mega Scarecrow first, because these guys are really already so much of a threat that you don't need a distraction really to make this encounter more difficult. The same rules apply though. You want to get these guys in the air, you want to have them stunned, and you want to be able to buster them. They're very vulnerable to the buster, and they're very vulnerable in the air. Think of yourself as Batman. Batman doesn't fight fair. You don't want to fight fair. So be like Batman, and don't fight fair. And we're at 57? 57, perfect. Alright, we're coming to the end of this section. This is actually kind of a fun fight. Except for these arm scarecrows. The arm scarecrows are weird because they don't really, I don't think they can attack you in the air, but the leg scarecrows really can. So if you just start going after the shades, you can actually be taken down by the leg scarecrows, even though you're up that high up. So I would definitely like take out a few and then focus fire and alternate, as long as you're comfortable with it. Because that's what this game is about, comfort. So that's the state you saw in Reel Back, that you can actually combo him as if he doesn't have the cloak on. But once again, as Nero, that doesn't really matter. The cloaks come out fast. Snatch and grab. I think it's the same for Lady. Lady's grappling hook. I think it does the same thing. I mean, they liked it so much that Nero's new arm works that way in Devil May Cry 5, so that's gonna stay. So fun thing about this Scarecrow, I'm just like not gonna launch him because when the dogs use their attack, he's like the perfect size shield to just eat their attacks. So once again, Mega Scarecrow just making things easier for us, and making things harder for its friends. That is like the one attack you need to worry about when facing the Mega Scarecrow, when it rolls. When it does that, just get ready to dodge. It doesn't take damage during that time, which is weird because you're taught by the game that this thing takes crazy damage and like is just a sponge for your anger. But in that one moment, you're going to get hit if you try to hit it. Alright, 59. So we're pretty much at the end. We just have the boss to deal with, and then we're done this section of the game, of the Bloody Palace. This is a fun, weird encounter. I just want to show I just want to show this off as the Mega Scarecrow attracts these things, just like the other Scarecrows do, but they can't couple with him. So really, they just end up knocking it like each other around. I don't know if they do damage to it, and if they do, I don't think like it matters honestly. But as you can see, like they're just attacking it, and I think it's because the seedlings are aware that the Mega Scarecrows are just the worst enemy in the game, and they think that the Bloody Palace is better without them. That's my headcanon, at least. Alright, here we go. So this is Achinda, I think it's pronounced. Achinda is a really fun boss fight, and kind of a difficult one if you're not used to it. The main thing is Achinda, just like Dagon, has two faces, and like before power up and after. And before power up, it works pretty well. Like, I mean, it's pretty smooth. You're just going to wail on her because she has two kind of main things. Like, she'll be up like this, upright, or she'll drill into the ground, which she does almost immediately at the start. When you're wailing on her when she's in the ground, the only thing to be aware of is if the spikes come out when she does that attack. It doesn't do damage, but it kind of signifies that she's going to use an attack that can hit you from the pedal area. Okay, once you have her stunned, you just buster her. While you buster her, here's your fun fact, you can charge your Exceed. Once it's maxed, it's fine. You got her to half health. So at this point, I'm pretty sure she's going to go to her second form. Which is fine. We don't let that happen. I mean, I don't think we can stop it. So now, most of her attacks will be added with projectiles, and as you will see, she's not going to stay down here nearly as long as she did before. She'll go right back out. And there comes the seeds again. Whenever she charges you, a charge shot is perfect because it'll either take her out of it instantly, or we're gonna bust her into or the second explosion will take her out of it. All right. One more fun fact about this arena, which I will show, is if things go really south, you actually have a contingency plan, which is these. These things, for some reason, were left in for the Bloody Palace. So though they don't actually, you can't use items, but there's some recovery pods here. And I think each bunch is guaranteed to have one green orb. So, worst come to worst, you have an answer. I think that's it for this section. So that was 41 to 60. We're almost finished. The next chunk is very Angelo-oriented, so you got to get good at fighting those guys. But I don't think the difficulty jump... The difficulty jump is a little bit here, but not as much as from 30 to 40, I would say. Like that once you hit 30, I think the Bloody Palace is really ready to take you down if you're not ready. And once you're here, as long as you keep the momentum going, you should be fine. Alright, that's it for this part, and we'll see you soon.